Hey everyone, welcome to December and welcome to Advent. And you know what that means, new fighter verses. Our passage this month for this season of Advent is from Isaiah chapter 9, verses 2 through 7. It says, "The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who dwelt in a land of deep darkness, on them a light has shone. You have multiplied the nation. You have increased its joy. They rejoice before you as with joy at the harvest, as they are glad when they divide the spoil. For the yoke of his burden and the staff for his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, you have broken as on the day of Midian. For every boot of the trampling warrior in battle tumult and every garment rolled in blood will be burned as fuel for the fire. For unto us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and of the peace there will be no end, on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it with justice and with righteousness from this time forth and forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will do this." Now listen, I know there's a lot in there, and there's some tricky parts in there too. And just between you and me, if you need to just work on memorizing verses 6 and 7, it can be our little secret. But why memorize this passage from this prophet that literally lived about 3,000 years ago? Why this passage? Because Isaiah chapter 9 gives us a little microcosm of the whole story of the whole Bible, God's whole redemptive salvation plan. You noticed that the story started, the passage started in darkness. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. So that's exactly how the Bible starts. In the beginning there was darkness, and God said, "Let there be light." And that is God's story throughout, moving us from darkness into light. And that's what Advent is. That's what Christmas is. Christmas only works if there's darkness. There's only light and joy and peace and hope and all those beautiful sentiments if first there is disappointment. If first there is darkness. If first there is even despair. You see, we have to understand that. We have to understand where we're coming from, Christian, before we can understand what God has done. You know, when a child is afraid of the dark, what do? You turn on a light. You put on a night light. And what do we do as adults when we're afraid, when we're in darkness, when we're worried about things? We look for lights, don't we? We look for all these things that can kind of light up our world. And often those lights are, lesser lights. They're not the ultimate light, the ultimate hope, the ultimate meaning that comes in. And here's the twist, here's the shocker, that come in a child. Unto us a child is born. You didn't see that coming, did you? You thought Isaiah would say, "Unto us a mighty warrior, unto us a great king, unto us a wise philosopher." Nope, unto us a child. This child is the Christ. This child is Jesus, the one who comes to us as us, comes to us in our weakness, enters our darkness so that he can rescue us out of the darkness and into his own marvelous light. So this Advent season, be careful, beware of all of those lesser lights that you might be grabbing onto to give your life that hope and that meaning. Those lesser lights that you're grabbing for to take away your fears and your worries. And instead, let's keep our eyes on Jesus. Let's fix our eyes on the one who came to rescue us out of darkness into his marvelous and glorious and eternal light.